Welcome to the world of the unknown and the unexplained, never knowing what's lurking around the corner or in the doors that we may open. Welcome to the world seeing through the eyes of the innocent.
Welcome to another episode. This week, our journey takes us to a place called St. Cabrini's in upstate New York called West Park. A young kid, 13 years old, was sent there. The facility had it locked up, and that's where you would go when you first arrived there for the first 72 hours. I only know too well because I was there, and I spent about 2 months in that facility. When they first asked me to do this, I really was hesitant because it was touching right at home. It affected me then, and it still affects me to this day. The abuse that took place. I was beat up by 4 staff members. A 13-year-old boy trying to fight off 4 grown men who weighed approximately about 250 pounds. I was then thrown into a dumpster outside of the window, which is about from the 5th floor all the way down into the dumpster. Never understood how I survived or why I survived. My opportunity to run away from Cabrini's in 1979, to get back home, to get to my mom once again. I got home only to find out there was a police officer waiting for me. So, knowing how the big screen lockup was, I decided to take a key identical to this one. Because before I had run away, I had filed a complaint against the staff members for the abuse these staff members were supposed to protect. That's what their job was. Instead, they became the abusers, as we were there, sent there from being abused from other people. When the gentleman tried to come through the door the next day, I jumped out 5th story window and landed back in the same dumpster that they had thrown me out. In 1979, in February, on a fractured ankle, I had to get back home. So, in the cold, obviously, I had my shoes, but I didn't have a coat. I didn't have gloves. It's the middle of winter. They had taken my shoelaces. Made you feel like you were a convicted criminal when all you were was a child, a kid, and didn't have a home. So therefore, most of these children ended up because their parents didn't want them, or their parents were alcoholics and couldn't take care of them. They were living on the streets. They put them in facilities like this and took their innocence away. I made it 77 miles. The gentleman I didn't even know offered his sweater to me so I would be warm. Knowing I had a fractured ankle, I made it all the way home. I had some great friends that were police officers that kind of hid me out and looked out for me. I can't tell you how painful the whole experience has been for me. But you who have been abused out there, really been abused by a system that was supposed to protect you and take care of you, you'll understand this video. To those who don't, this is not all about how sad things are, because when you think about the ending of where I am today, I was a survivor. Not many of people back then survived. As you read in the end of here, a few people didn't survive. And many of my brothers and sisters have survived, but they've gone through drug therapy, prison, jail, and the ones that didn't ended up crashing motorcycles, crashing their cars, committing suicide. So unfortunately, the abuse back then, to get busted open, to be beaten down, to have broken bones, to be burned, to be put up in a cage, it was okay. And that's where my life started. I grew up on a little town called the town of New Scotland. Lived in the country, learned how to milk cows. Just a great American native. And you get a stepfather or a family member who becomes very abusive and thinks you're nothing but garbage. Puts you in a cage, locks you up all day, feeds you bread and coffee. You live that way for years. Throws you in dead men's apartments where they're still dead and still there. So much abuse has taken place in this world. So much that people don't understand. You think because you're in an abusive relationship, and nobody should ever put their hands on anybody, that you think you've got the worst life. As a child, horrifying, devastation. I was very fortunate because I was strong-minded and strong-willed to want to get an education, to want to help other people. It seemed what the bad was. I didn't want to be that. I wanted to be something different. I wanted to make a difference. This video has helped people in Andreas today, thanks to the help of John Kay and Robert Jeffries for taking this video and making an educational video for lads seen through the eyes of innocence, to help young youth stay out of trouble and to help young parents not to be abusive, and let everybody know what can happen. Maybe I was never in jail, and knock on wood, maybe I was never in prison, but I live in a prison every day of my life and every night. See, you can take the person out of the institution, and you can take the person, the physical form, out of abuse. And one thing you can never do is take the abuse out of that person, because they have to live with it day and night. They see it over and over again. I guess they call that PTSD. Sorry, but I don't really feel that's something I have. I was grateful and gifted to the positive, even if it was not much. Sometimes I wonder why I'm here. A little thing like this could save my life. Again, thank you John Kay, and thank you Robert Jeffries for a privilege to me. It wasn't about the money that you had given me the opportunity to do this, and it has helped some youth, maybe a lot, not a lot. Maybe not a lot of people on YouTube really going to pay attention to this, but this is not all about YouTube or me. It's just about the way it was back then. And to you, my brothers and sisters who have really suffered the abuse as children, and who have suffered and had to fight every day of your life, from not turning to alcohol or drugs, or becoming the people that abused you. And I don't know if there will be any more of these made. I don't know where I go, if there will ever be another episode like this done. I thank everybody's their support throughout this. It's been a real tough and 5 episodes of really hardness. Like I said, I wasn't going to do this. I was really hesitant. And when they asked me, and I had to really think about it, maybe it could do some good to somebody. I know one thing taught me to be a better person. I believe it's what's here in your heart and your will to survive. And if anybody watches this video that is in an abusive relationship, whether it's a husband, a wife, children that are being abused, get help. Don't let it keep going. Because in the long run, you're going to suffer. Maybe from PTSD, maybe bipolar, maybe ADHD, maybe AAD. There's so many of them out there. If they had caught a lot of these problems way back in the 70s and in the early 80s, maybe some of those brothers and sisters would still be alive. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video.